Ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, you're watching yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977. It's time for WWE Evolve Event Center, where wrestling action involves the WWE ID prospects, the PC prospects, and indie wrestlers from all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, and here's the man to bring you the wrestling report and action from the WWE Evolve Event Center, Mr. Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977, episode number 2260, folks. And I got to tell you, right down to the wire here, I'll tell you, and it's going to be really exciting, as you know. We're going to talk about WWE Evolve. That's right. And before we get going, I forgot to do this last night on the NXT Event Center report, and I just realized that this coming Sunday is WWE Battleground. Now, normally, because Rant and Rave does their picks and predictions, I will still do my picks and predictions on a separate video, and this is it. And I figured, just in case nobody else watches Rant and Rave, every Thursday night, 8 o'clock on Brandon Martin's channel, I figured I would bring my picks and predictions for my picks and predictions for WWE Battleground. As you know, for the very first time, WWE Battleground in the WWE PLE, a title from another organization is up for grabs, and it'll be involving an NXT superstar. But I will run down the card of that event. There's 6 matches on the card right now. 2 of them are non-title matches. There are no titles on the line. That means 4 title matches, 2 are not. Let's go with the 2 non-matches that don't have a championship on the line as a trios matchup or a 6-man tag matchup as Josh Briggs will join forces with Hank and Tank, the NXT Tag Team Champions, as they go up against the Culling with Izzy Dame in their corner, as Sean Spears will be joining up with Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs' former tag team partner. So there's a little history there. And Nico Vance, the one of the newcomers to NXT. Meanwhile, a grudge match, possibly for control of the family, basically. I don't know. As Tony D'Angelo will defend the honor of the family against Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Question is, where does Rizzo and Luca fit in all this? We'll find out. Meanwhile, the rest are title matches in the women's division. The women's North American title will be on the line, so Luca will be defending it against the inaugural North American NXT Women's North Keilani Jordan. Meanwhile, the NXT Women's title on the line, Stephanie Vaquer will defend that title against Jordan Grace, a former TNA Knockouts World Champion in her own right. And we've got the TNA World title on the line. Joe Hendry. This is the first time ever a title from another organization is put up for grabs as Joe Hendry defends the TNA title against Trick Williams. And finally, the NXT title will be on the line. Obafemi defends it against Miles Bourne. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Now, before we get to the picks and predictions of that, let's talk about what happened at WWE Evolve. Now, as you know, there are 3 spots already filled up in the Evolve Women's title match in the Fatal 4-Way Elimination matchup, as you know. The winner of this Fatal 4-Way Elimination matchup will get a shot to become the first ever WWE Evolve Women's Champion. Wendy Chu, Kendall Gray, and Callie Armstrong are in. Who will be part of it? It will be. Now, the matchup is in a Fatal 4-Way play-in matchup for the women's final spot. Zeta Steele, Ariana Bennett, Chantel Monroe, and Kylie Ray. But the rest of Vanity Project, who was supporting Zeta Steele, started causing a little bit of trouble. Referee says, ain't having that in that match. You're ejected. So The referee sends Vanity Project to the back. A hard-fought match between these four ladies, and Kylie Ray ends up picking up the victory, and we'll get that fourth and final spot. So that means she'll have to face her own nemesis, Wendy Chu, in that matchup. Maybe that's what she's focused on. But Kylie Ray better know what's up. Meanwhile, Chewy Martinez interviewed. Kiana Carver addresses Harlem Lewis before their matchup. They have a play-in matchup as well. The winner of that match will join Super Sean Legacy in a Fatal 4-Way elimination matchup for the Men's Evolve Championship. That'll happen in 2 weeks. Women's Championship happens next week. And then in 2 weeks, it will be the men's turn for the championship. Chewy Martinez interviewed Ora Mensa. Mensa says, now, friendly reminder, these Evolve event shows were taped before the releases came out. As you know, they probably were taped back in January, February, March, who knows, and April, because these releases happened in May earlier this month. So, Ora Mensa went one-on-one with Idris Inofe. Heck of a matchup between these two great young athletes. Inofe ends up winning the matchup. Chewy Martinez interviewed Inofe after the matchup. He's, gives a little compassionate speech. Stevie Turner, the Prime Minister, a.k.a. General Manager of Evolve, came out, was impressed by that victory, and so she decided to put him in the Fatal 4-Way elimination matchup for the Men's Evolve Championship. So Idris Inofe has a huge opportunity here. Just like last week, though, what happened to Brinley Reese? Same thing happened to Danny Palmer. Who's been doing the attacks and why? Who knows for sure? A lot of people think it's Callie Armstrong. We'll find out. Swipe Right, though, interrupts Peter Rosenberg and Robert Strong as they're trying to figure out who's been doing these attacks. But they were running their mouths. And then Sean Legacy and Timothy Thatcher met them in a tag matchup. And Swipe Right, whose tag team tactics and double team tactics really helped them out against Legacy and Thatcher. In the end, Swipe Right did pick up the victory. Callie Armstrong dresses the three other ladies, Kendall Gray, Wendy Chu, and now Kylie Ray. And she says that it's her moment, and she's going to walk away becoming the first Evolve Women's Champion. Meanwhile, Kendall Gray saw the whole thing, responds to that in front of Kylie Bright, Chantel Monroe, and Mason Holiday. And Chantel Monroe basically was crabbing about it and ended up walking away. And now, the play-in matchup. Harlem Lewis going up against Kiana Carver. The winner of that match will join Super Sean Legacy in the second spot for the Men's Championship. And, heck of a matchup. Big, meaty man slapping meat. And in the end, though, Carver ended up winning the matchup and will be joining Super Sean Legacy in that matchup. Oh, and Idris Inofe as well. So 3 of the 4 spots have been filled. The 4th spot could be filled next week. A triple threat play-in matchup as Jackson Drake will go up against the winner of the qualifier in Reality of Wrestling, Jordan Osiris. And also they will be facing, this is a triple threat match now, the newest signee, a surprise signee to Evolve, Lindsay Dorado makes his return to the WWE. Last time we saw him, he was part of Lucha House Party with Kalisto, a.k.a. Samurai Del Sol. But Lindsay Dorado makes his return and will be fighting for that final spot. And that is it for WWE Evolve. Now, let's get to NXT Battleground. That is happening this coming Sunday on PLE, on Peacock. Remember, history in the making, a TNA title. It's the first time a title from another organization will be on the line at a WWE PLE. Again, the NXT title will be on the line. It will be Obafemi defending it against Miles Bourne. Then the women's title on the line. Stephanie Vicaire defends it against Jordan Grace. The women's North American title will be on the line. As Sol Ruka defends against Kaylani Jordan. TNA title on the line. Joe Hendry to defend against Trick Williams. And then the last two were that were announced. No titles on the line, even though the tag team champions will be involved in the action. As they team up with Josh Briggs to go up against the Cullings, Sean Spears, Nico Vance, and Briggs' former partner, And that would be Brooks Jensen. So, who do I got? So let's go with the tag team matchup. But first, I think the culling is more together. So, and this is the first time Josh Briggs could team up with Hank and Tank. Maybe the culling can reunite Country Grit. Or will Country Grit reunite itself the way things are going with JC Jane and Fallon Henley over at Fatal Influence? We shall see. But I picked the culling to win that matchup somehow. Dan Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Tony D'Angelo in a grudge match. I got a hunch that Luca Crucifino and Adriano Rizzo are not offed. I think they've been given an offer by Channing Stacks Lorenzo, and I think you're going to see betrayal of the Don. That's right. I think Tony D'Angelo is going to get betrayed by Rizzo and Luca, and if that's the case, Stacks ends up winning the matchup. Okay, now let's the TNA World Heavyweight title. As you know, this is like the first time ever a TNA championship on the line on the WEPLE. Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams. Guess what? I believe in Joe Hendry. I pick Hendry to win that matchup. The Women's North American title will be on the line. So Ruka to defend against Kaylani Joyner. I'd say So Ruka retains. Zarya attacks Ruka after the matchup. And then the women's title on the line, Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace. With the WWE draft coming up, I'm thinking that all eyes could be on Stephanie Vaquer. If she can beat Jordan Grace, she probably can be the greatest NXT women's champion of all time. But I think that honor should go to Asuka, to my personal opinion. I want to see Asuka face Stephanie Vaquer. So I'm picking Vaquer to retain. I'm picking Garcia, though, to win the title. Because I believe that Stephanie Vaquer could get drafted to either Raw or SmackDown, and that could be a huge get. And if SmackDown comes calling, that's going to be a huge get for the SmackDown Women's Division. Nicholas Aldis plays his card price on that one. And then finally, the NXT title on the line. Obafemi defends against Miles Bourne. As inspirational as Miles Bourne is, Obafemi is that powerful. Unless Miles Bourne finds a counter or finds a weak spot in Obafemi, don't expect Miles Bourne to win the championship. I pick Obafemi over Miles Bourne. And I believe Charlie Dempsey may have something to do with it too, I'm afraid. He might betray Miles Bourne, who knows. So, that is it for WWE Evolve Event Center for May the 21st, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Next episode, we're going to talk a little bit of the final AEW Dynamite before Double or Nothing. I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful, blessed night. Rest of your night. Until next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and do it for Bob Saget production and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.